what are you going to be talking about, Steve?
Today we're going to talk about Dallas Holm Praise.
Okay.
As
one of the first contemporary Christian music groups I was ever introduced to, ever played.
Yeah, I heard you say that earlier. That's in fact the same vantage point that I come to Dallas Holm with, actually.
Yeah, but I bet you weren't carried into the front of the concert on somebody's shoulder.
No, I heard that. That'd be quite the thing.
Unfortunately, no pictures.
Oh, too bad. I'd like to see that.
Oh. All right, let's talk about Dallas Holm.
Yeah, as I was saying, he was one of the first that I kind of attached myself to as a favorite when I became a Christian back in 1979. And it's funny though. I don't know if you remember this. If I mentioned this to you before, but back around, I'd say about 82 or 81. I'm thinking maybe it was in the CCM magazine. They had a comparison chart that kind of told people who different contemporary Christian artists were sounding like as far as secular artists were concerned. And with the Dallas Holm side of things, they said he sounded like Elvis.
Can I ask you a question? How do you feel about people saying that, so-and-so sounds like so-and-so, sounds like so-and-so? Wouldn't you rather they just sound like themselves?
Yeah, I think that's true. But I guess I can see the opposite side too, where you're trying to introduce people to a new kind of music that includes Christian lyrics, and the only reference point they have to music is what they've heard on the radio, with some of these entertainers and things they may have seen on TV or heard on secular radio or rock and roll radio or whatever you want to call it. So I guess I can see a point, at least a little bit in that too, to say, well, if you like so-and-so, you like so-and-so, since some of the styles or their way of instrumentation might be similar. So I guess I can see both sides.
Where did you get this wisdom?
I don't know. But
okay, I've never heard that explanation, but it makes sense.
yeah, I think it's just a kind of a stepping stone, kind of a way to introduce people to other music they may not normally listen to, and just to kind of compare it with something that they may have heard or been more familiar with, perhaps. But with Dallas, it was Elvis, and by this chart, and by Dallas's own words, that was definitely one of the artists that influenced him at a young age as well. He grew up doing some garage band stuff actually when he was a teenager, and actually received the Lord into his life at a young age as a teenager. Went to a Bible college there in Minnesota, did at least one independent project at that point, and then I don't remember how it all transpired, but he got to be touring with David Wilkerson, which you might know that name.
Yes, I sure do cross the switchblade.
That's right. Yep, so he would travel with David Wilkerson on these crusades back in the early 70s, and his point would be more toward the teen aspect. In fact, one of his earlier records was called For Teens Only, in fact. And
what's fascinating about that, listening to Dallas Holm music and listening to him in a live concert where he's ministering to people, I can't imagine him playing in a garage band.
yeah, I can't either. I can't either.
I mean, I can just, I just can't imagine it. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. But he did.
Yeah, I also found out that he's one of the members of probably one of the biggest Christian motorcycle groups in America right now. I think it's called Christian Motorcyclists of America or something to that nature. So he's had a love of bikes and of music at a fairly young age.
Wow, okay.
Heard he was introduced to...
Things that you just didn't expect.
Yeah, exactly. And I read also online that he got influenced by that by his older brother being into motorcycles. So that's kind of interesting, and I guess he still runs around on a bike once in a while in Texas. He's actually in Texas himself.
He's in Waco, isn't he?
I believe he's toward Lindale or that direction, yes, or Tyler, Texas, that direction, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, Tyler's East Texas, so it's northwest. Oh, there. Tyler, quite a bit. I didn't know he was there. But then again, he wouldn't know me if I stopped and knocked on his door anyway.
Probably not without the cast on.
Yeah, well, I don't remember that either. Okay.
But
Dallas Holm has some of the deepest or most powerfully ministerial, is that a word, lyrics that exist in contemporary Christian music.
he sure does.
Well, what's the purpose behind that? What brought that about, do you know?
Well, I think he'd always kind of known at a young age as he received Christ that it was important to keep the lyrics centered in Scripture, and that he, I think, from what I've heard, I guess he had some really good spiritual mentors, if you want to say that phrase, back in his early years of when he became a Christian and went to Bible college. So I haven't heard him exactly speak on that point exactly, but I would suspect that he just knows the value of Scripture and knows how much that should place in your lyrics.
So what song are we featuring by him today?
We're probably going to play his signature song, if you want to call it that. It's called Rise Again. And this is one of those interesting behind the music kind of situations here where I've heard Dallas talk about this before. In fact, when he first put it on recording, he talked to the audience before. It was a live recording called Dallas Holm Praise Live, actually. And he just talked to the audience to say usually he can write songs just by sitting down and saying today's job is to write a song. And usually things go the way he plans it that way. But this particular day he was kind of stumped for where to start or how to begin. So as Dallas tells it in his own words, he just prayed about it and said, I don't know what you want me to sing or write a song about today. So he kind of just asked the Lord, if you were writing a song, what would you say? And he said once he'd gotten praying that song and just sat there for a bit, he said the words and the music, everything like that came together in about 10 minutes flat.
Wow.
And it was done.
A powerful song.
Yeah, it was.
And Steve, the librarian Ericson from Chatham, Illinois, I want to thank you so much for being a part of today's program and for your information on Dallas Holm.
My pleasure. It's a great song. Hope everybody enjoys it.
You'll be back next week, right?
I will.
It's one of those questions where you have no room to move on to, right?
Exactly.
All right, Stephen. Well, we will talk to you next week, and thanks so much.
No problem. Thanks, Doug.